Hello, everybody. It's your commish coming live to you from my home, and we wrap up another week of fantasy football. And it looks like one team is just running away with everything, and that is Team Tebow. So, anyway, sorry for last week. I was traveling and didn't get a chance to record a show. So, hopefully, you didn't miss me too much. But regardless of that, let's. Why don't we just get into this? Why don't we get right into the standings? So the standings look this way, right? You have the top four teams. They call themselves the group of Dalits, except one who is not a Dalit, and he probably does not belong because he's won a championship. So the Dalits basically classify or define themselves as guys who have not won a championship. So right now there's a couple in the top four. That's the Brown Man Group and the Guru. The Guru won eons ago, so we could classify him as a Dalit, maybe one that rose to power and then fell pretty hard. But the Brown Man Group is definitely not a Dalit, and Blue Thunder, who's right under him, is definitely not a Dalit. So, but the top two teams, they are definitely Dalits, and Dalits. You guys all know what Dalits are, but those are those people. Why don't we take a look at his image? These are the Indians rising, the Dalits rising up in India. So that's what these guys are, right? These are low-class citizens that don't have much. They've always feel like they're oppressed by the stronger. And finally, they said, we will not take this anymore. And they are rising, rebelling, and they are moving themselves to the top of the food chain. So this year, Tim Tebow, Steel Boys Crew has always kind of been right on the outskirts, kind of that guy, almost there, kind of looking in. He's made it, last year made it to the finals, but just still can't get over that hump. And Tim Tebow, well, everybody knows Tebow's history. He basically he's never really relevant in any fantasy football year that I can recall. So for him, I think he's just taken out all his rage this season on everybody. I think this is it is his fourth weekly that he's won in a row. And not only that, but while he's winning these weeklies, he's actually also getting the biggest blowouts. So it's pretty insane. I mean, he's beating teams by 70 points, 60 points, 50 points. And his lead in points, overall points, is just way too much. So આપણો ભાઈ ટીમ ટીબો તો બહુ આગળ નીકળી ગયો છે. હવે એને તો પકડવાનું હાઈ સ્કોરમાં તો બહુ મુશ્કેલ થઈ ગઈ છે. એટલે એ પૈસા $60 કે જે કે હોય એ તો પાકા થઈ ગયા એના. Even if he goes for the rest of the season, if he averages 100 points, I think he's got that pretty much locked. And at this point, best record unless he has a total meltdown. You never know in fantasy football. It could happen, but unless he has a total meltdown, he should have the best record in football, or in fantasy football. So great job, Tim Tebow. Keep it up with that smile on your face and wishing everybody luck, which is kind of patronizing, so stop that shit. Anyway, but the rest of the order, we have a couple 2 and 3 teams, which is Chakde, then Steel City Bombers, which is my team. I won. Chakde's on a losing streak, so that's not going, he's going in the wrong way. So anyhow, hopefully we can continue, or I can continue my streak, and some of these bottom dwellers, we have the 1 and 4 teams, like the Tower Orange, tough luck again this week. Well, it wasn't really tough luck, but it was just luckily I picked the right quarterback and beat that guy. Otherwise I was gonna get screwed. So like the Tower Orange lost Stewie the Devil, which again, he reminds me of the San Diego Chargers. I feel like he's got a great lineup, but always it's 1 or 2 players that just questionable that he puts in or just doesn't trust, and he tries to play his matchups, but sometimes you just kind of have to leave people in their position, because the week you don't play them, you're going to miss out on that 30-point game. And as long as they are good enough and getting points and not putting up lindies, then you should just leave them in and don't get too cute and keep changing players in and out. So Stewie is again 1-4, bad management, and Fortisair. I don't even know what to say about Fortisair. That's what I have to say about Fortisair. So, but that's our leaderboard. So why don't we go back and do some recaps of last week. Like I said, last week, it was a pretty good week. Always fun. A lot of touchdowns scored. Again, for some teams, I played the light to tower orange, and it really came down to quarterback. It was the finger for me. My wife, she decided which finger, and she luckily selected the right finger. Otherwise, I definitely didn't want the wrong finger. So the right finger worked out, and I have basically Philip to thank for his game and performance that lifted me to a victory. It was one of my highest scoring weeks of the season, so hopefully this is a sign of good things to come. I haven't beat projections in basically every week yet, and this was my first week where I beat projections, and I beat them pretty good. So good for me. Light to tower orange, not so good. Light to tower orange, bicharo, I think Manas frustrated Tegyoche. He's doing what he can. Sometimes players play, sometimes they don't. Just a terrible, I think quarterback play for him was pretty bad. Andrew Dalton, well, it wasn't bad, sorry. It was looking really bad, and then picked it up. But players like Crowell, who's done good in the past but kind of sucked this week. Landry, who I hate as a player because he's very inconsistent. He's boom or bust every week. Had some down. But I had players that matched those down. Excuse me. I had some players that match his players that didn't do too well. But the only thing is, my guys that did really well, they overexceeded their projections, and that's what put me over the top. So pat myself on the back. Hopefully the streak continues. So let's go on to the next match. The next match was between, I believe, don't you hate it when you have slow laptops or slow internet connections or whatever it is? Kind of throws you off your game. So give me a second here. Next matchup was Blue Thunder versus the Guru. This was an awesome matchup because the Guru, basically his whole team were Langras and Tutas, and none of them, I mean, the guy had to go and find people off of free agency, just kind of plug and play. The people like Randall Cobb, who hasn't done anything in freaking 5 games or 4 games, and plugged him in, got 100 yards. Who else? Hoyer. Picked up Hoyer because Cam Newton was out. I think he debated between quarterbacks as well, Hoyer and I forgot who the other guy was, but he went with Hoyer. Oh, Dak Prescott. He went with Hoyer, and Hoyer extremely exceeded his projection. So players like that, Theo Reddick, who came through with 2 touchdowns. McManus, the kicker, did well. Just all in all, even when Julio Jones only scored 2.9 points, the Guru's got some mojo going for him, so he's doing well this year. Hats off to you that you're doing that well, and you beat Blue Thunder, whose team wasn't really injured at all, and honestly, probably should have won, depending on if you go by projections, but they underperformed big time. Basically, let's see, AJ Green, Edelman, CJ Anderson, Dwayne Washington, Zach Miller, Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, that's almost 75% of his team just didn't play. So kudos again, like I said, kudos to Guru that he won, and he made some bold moves by going into free agency and picking in some key players. So good job. Next one was Steel Boys Crew and Chuck Day NFL. So Steel Boys Crew has woken up this week or last week, And Le'Veon Bell, Gunko didn't do what I guess he met his projection, but he could have done a lot more. But Big Ben he's just, I guess, playing at another level this year, and it's bomb after bomb after bomb. Sammy Coates, he's found a new Martavis Bryant replacement. So he's doing amazing this year, and Le'Veon Bell, they're using him more as a receiver than a running back, it seems. Just give the man some touchdowns though, because I need that man going, and nobody likes not getting touchdowns. So give him some touchdowns this week. But JB was JB. Don't ever call him Mini AB. Don't even put an A in his name because he doesn't have any. John Brown is John Brown, and John Brown had 1.1 point. So stay John Brown, John Brown. Anyway, so he did well. Cooper Tires performed exceptionally well. Got a lot of targets. Could have had a monster game if he knew how to keep his feet in bounds like Crabtree, but unfortunately he didn't. So I think he lost probably on two touchdowns throughout the game. But of course, Cooper Tires doing well. Derek Carr did well too. But I think that's the only player that did well on Blue Thunder's team. So Andrew Luck, once again, the garbage man. I mean, call it what you want. Andrew Luck doesn't perform well. He may not play well for like 3 quarters, but then fourth quarter comes and all of a sudden, Luck finds T.Y. Hilton, and he gets more than 20 points. So Luck is doing a job for SBC. And keeps them in the game. So awesome job picking up Buffalo defense against the LA Rams, who are winning games. Sorry, they didn't win this game, but I think Gurley just has to get going. That is the biggest bust, I think. Even though Gurley scored 14.8 fantasy points this week, he's just not living up to the potential that at least where he was drafted, and that's what's plaguing Chuck Day NFL, is that Todd Gurley is not playing at the level he should be. Houston defense, losing J.J. Watt, is not playing like they should be. But overall, he struggled. Kyle Rudolph, 1.5 points. Everybody had less than 10 points. Not counting Gurley and Vinatieri, who had freaking 23 points. Can you believe that? A kicker. Old man Vinatieri, I think he's like 42 years old. He's older than me and kicking like freaking field goals all day. But Vinatieri did great, and Tom Magnificent Brady is back. And Tom Brady was out there to prove a point. So obviously when he does that, Blunt suffers, who had 37 rush yards. Did get a touchdown, but rushing yards were down because Tom Brady needed to throw for 400 yards and 3 TDs. So Tom's back. Blunt sucks. We'll start sucking. So be careful on that, Chuck Day. But good win for SBC. He tried to give Tim Tebow a run for his money on weekly score, but Tim Tebow is just, like I said, he's playing out of this world. Or his team is. He's not playing out of this world, but his team is just performing every week, and 150 or bust is their slogan, I think. Hopefully, if they haven't changed it, they should probably consider changing it to 150 or bust. But I think that is our last matchup, which is Tim Tebow versus Fortisair. And this was over before the game even kicked off at 12 o'clock. So there was really nothing to talk about in this game except that Tebow just dominated from all aspects of the game. He could have dominated even more if he would have played Mortabay. Mortabay, like I mentioned earlier, he's playing out of this freaking world at an extremely elite level, and he's gonna shatter that 35 touchdown bet we have going on. But like I said, it's Tim Tebow. Just started on Thursday Night Football with DJ and just continued. Every player, T.Y. Hilton, Crabtree, I don't think got he did get a touchdown. I mean, dude, it is anybody he plugs in, they score, right? So it's pretty hard to beat when your team is scoring a minimum of almost, 8 touchdowns, 8 to 10 touchdowns every week. Your quarterback scores 3 or 4, running back score 2. That's 6, and then 5 to 6, and then each player wants. So yeah, if you're scoring 10 touchdowns every week, that's already like 60 points. But you're probably scoring more on a lot of those weeks. So 60 points, and I think Fortisair scored a total of 60 points. Let me check here, because that's pretty embarrassing. 64 points is what he scored, and Tim Tebow beat him just by his players scoring touchdowns, not even counting yards. That is freaking insane. Kudos to Tim Tebow. Taru Balutai, you are the leader of the Dalits, so lead them to the playoffs if you can, and hopefully we, the champs, we are what we call EOC. So we are equal opportunity champions. We give everybody a fair shot to win a championship. We do not discriminate against rookies. We do not discriminate against Dalits, if you want to call it that. We don't discriminate against anybody. Even if you don't know anything about football, hey, we'll give you a chance to win a championship. So us champions, we're just kind of, we're just hanging out. But I will tell you though, we will put up a fight. We will not relinquish championships easily. Every week you will be fighting. And, for me personally, I do want my name on that trophy before a Dalit gets on there. So I will do what I can to bring down Dalits and keep them where they belong, which is on the ground floor and not in the penthouse suite. So watch out, you Dalits. But that's all I have. It was a long show. Well, actually, it's a short show. It's about 17 minutes long. And hopefully next week we'll do this again. But Tiasudi, I'm out. And good luck to everybody this week, starting on Thursday Night Football with the San Diego Chargers, Phillip, and the Denver Broncos. Peace. Hey everyone. I just want to apologize to Stewie the Devil and the Brown Man group. I totally forgot that you guys even played. I guess it was just because Stewie's score was so low. I think it was the lowest score in the league this week that I just felt like it was not important to talk about. But why don't we talk about it, since I'm taking this time to add this segment in. So Stewie scored a total of 62 points, and his bench scored a total of 44 points. And that's just 2 players from his bench that scored that much. So once again, Stewie makes a managing mistake. And this has been a reoccurring theme for the guy. And just not trusting his players, trying too many, getting cute with his lineup, trying to play matchups, etc., and just not trusting Fitzgerald and even Bennett, because his other tight end is Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz hasn't done shit, hasn't even played, and he's got a rookie quarterback. So anyhow, tough luck for Stewie that he loses by a pretty big margin this week. On the other hand, Brown Man Group did really well. Brown Man Group actually scored 111 points, and Captain Kirk just didn't work out for him. But his players, Tevin Coleman, who I've seen the debate, Devontae Freeman, Coleman, and Tevin Coleman, he's not rushing as much as Freeman, like some of our, like the Tower Orange owner has put it. But he's catching balls, right? And for Coleman, it's like he's catching balls and he's turning them into touchdowns. If he weren't connecting and he wasn't hitting pay dirt with those catches, then he would not be scoring as much as he does, right? I mean, he's still going to be fantasy relevant at a maybe, I honestly think he's a 12-point guy. But like I said, he takes those little passes and converts them into big touchdowns, and that's what's giving him his fantasy points. So So that's good for him. But as far as being trusted every week, I don't know, right? So, but LaShawn McCoy, Shady McCoy, this guy, I mean, I saw that game, the Buffalo game, and he is cutting and doing everything right. He's just not scoring touchdowns. But Shady McCoy, I mean, he's got moves like he was back in Philadelphia. So great runner, great guy. I think he just needs to, like I said, score some touchdowns, and he can really put up some major points. But all in all, this match was garbage for Stewie. And Stewie does play me this week. I think he's got all of his eggs in like 3 baskets. So hopefully one of them hatches out good and does very well. But we'll see. And hopefully, he's starting Martellus Bennett, so that just means that Gronk will get all the touchdowns. So go Gronk. And like I said, sorry guys for missing you in the original segment, but I did add you back in, and good luck to your fantasy teams. Late.